Right. Open your Holy Quran. More science of America. But Chairman, can we make sure the sister has the Quran? I'm going to go to chapter 21. Marriage instructions for man and wife from the noble prophet. Islam. Prophet gave us Acts 7 back, and in Acts 7, he gives us the roles back. Because one thing that the European nations have done in their attack upon the Asiatic nations is to seek to destroy roles, to make sure so man don't know what he's supposed to do no more. Man think he can dress like y'all, sister, and it'd be perfectly okay in society. Women think they can be men, be as aggressive and whatever as men, right? But how can we honor our father and mothers, which is the great covenant, right? Covenant is contract. How can we honor our fathers and mothers if we don't know the basis of these things? So Prophet Noble Brother, in giving us our holy instructions back, gives us these roles back in their definitions. Verse 1, he's talking to the sisters here, right? So when we talk about Moabites, right? The descendants of the daughters of Ruth, okay? This is Moorish American Muslim woman, right? Give ear, fair daughter of love, to the instructions of prudence, underline that word or take note on whatever you want to do. And let the precepts of truth sink deep in thy heart. So shall the charms of thy mind add luster to the elegance of thy form. And thy beauty, like the rose it resembleth, shall retain its sweetness when its bloom is withered. When you become older sisters, and gravity has a tendency to take effect. Allah forbid. Asiatic don't crack. Okay? All right? Keep believing that.
I got bad.
Keep believing that. That form is finite. So it ain't infinite. Verse 2. In the spring of thy youth, in the morning of thy days, when the eyes of men gaze on thee with delight, and nature whispereth, that's that word again, whispereth, right? In thine ear, the meaning of their looks. Hear with caution their seducing words. Guard well thy heart, nor listen to their soft persuasions. Remember thou art made man's reasonable companion, not the slave of his passion. The end of thy being is not merely to gratify his loose desire, but to assist him in the toils of life, to soothe his tenderness, to soothe his heart with thy tenderness, and recompense his care with soft endearments. Who is she that winneth the heart of man, that subdueth him to love, and reigneth in his breast? Lo, yonder she walks, basically saying, look, over there, right? Yonder she walk in maiden sweetness, with innocence in her mind, and modesty on her cheek. Her hand seeketh employment, her foot delighteth not in gadding abroad, gossip. She's not a gossiper, okay? She is clothed with neatness. She is fed with temperance. Humility and meekness are as a crown of glory circling her head. On her tongue dwelleth music. The sweetness of honey floweth from her lips. Decency is in all her words. In her answers are mildness and truth. Submission and obedience are the lessons of her life, and peace and happiness are her reward. Now let me pause right there. Going over to chapter 28. Verse 2. Okay, let me go back over here. Verse 9 and 21 says, submission and obedience are the lessons of her life, and peace and happiness are her reward. Islam? Okay, so, it puts submission and obedience in the realm, in the gender of female there, correct? Let's go to chapter 28, verse 2. The honor of a servant is his fidelity. His highest virtues are submission and obedience. So submission and obedience are on male and female, man and woman. Islam? They're the ones that pluck verses and misquote our prophet. The prophet's trying to subject the woman. That ain't what it says. Islam? All right? Let's keep working. Verse 10, back in 21. Before her steps walketh prudence, is that word again. And virtue attendeth at her right hand. Her eye speaketh softness and love, but discretion with a scepter sitteth on her brow. That softness right there, it didn't say weakness. We got a chapter on weakness. Softness. Anybody ever heard of the martial art called Wing Chun? No? Right now, research. Wing Chun was actually started by a woman.
Wing Chun.
Yeah, Wing Chun. Wingchun. And it's a very soft, form but it's done close quarter. You're in on the person, and it's very fast, right? And that's done to to counteract an aggressive yang form. So if somebody's coming with a lot of aggression, you'll go yin and get in close quarter, and tear their torso up. All right? But it's a very soft style, but it's powerful. It's not weak. See, the European, some of y'all are a little younger. How many people remember the Marlboro Man? Y'all remember that commercial? That was cowboy. Yes. He's on the ranch. He's smoking a cigarette. That's the man's man, right? Well, he was a man's man, all right. If you research a lot of those that had that image, they was men's men, all right. Islam? But it's that false bravado, thinking that because I'm all of this, that I'm the epitome. No. You know what I'm saying? Because the things that men are called to do, a man, it's called to give his form for his family if you have to. We don't necessarily want to die, right? But if we have to, we will, right? But death don't exist for us, right? Praise Allah. You see what I'm saying? But we have a tendency to think that when it says we hear the word softness or modesty or mildness, that these are weak principles. If you go to these, I challenge anybody to talk to any of our sisters from Africa, any of the countries that demonstrate that soft femininity. I challenge any one of you to think that them sisters is weak.
Oh, I know.
If you don't believe me, check it out for yourself. Them sisters ain't weak. They know whether their realm of power is though. It ain't how loud. I ain't got to be loud. I can be quiet and shut the whole house down. That's loud? All right? Verse 12. The tongue of the licentious is dumb in her presence. The awe of her virtue keepeth them silent. When scandal is busy and the fame of her neighbors is tossed from tongue to tongue, if charity and good nature open not her mouth, the finger of silence resteth on her lip. Her breast is the mansion of goodness, and therefore she suspecteth no evil of others. You got another, a measure on that in your Quran too, right? Suspecteth evil of no one, but what? When you see it, never forget it. See, the Quran works with each other. You see a verse here, you got to connect with the verse somewhere else to get the whole message, right? It says, 15, happy was the man that shall make her his wife. Happy the child that shall call her mother. She presideth in the house, and there is peace. She commandeth with judgment and is obeyed. Why does she preside in the house? Let's go to verse 17. Because in order to preside in the house, this is what you got to do. This is what you're called to do. She ariseth in the morning. She considers her affairs. She appointed to everyone their proper business. Get the children, everybody organized, and everything's in order. The care of her family as a whole delight. To that alone she applieth her study, and elegance with frugality is seen in her mansion. So she's a frugal woman. She's not one to just spend up everything and be broke wondering how we're going to pay everything. She demonstrates frugality. That's a good quality. Another synonym for the word frugality or frugal? Economy. You know what word economy means? Household management. That's what the word economy means. The prudence of her management is an honor to her husband. He heareth her praise with a secret delight. She informeth the minds of her children with wisdom. She fashioneth their manners from the examples of her own goodness. That's Sister Zenobia's demonstration. Yes, you demonstrate that. Don't demonstrate how I probably can't do it as you did it. But it ain't all about do as I say, not as I do. No, do as I do, because you're supposed to be leading the example. Correct? Exactly. All right. 21. The words of her mouth is the law of their youth. The motion of her eye commanded their obedience. How many people when y'all was young, your mama could look at you and shut everything down? Right. Wow, just doing whatever you want to do with she.
Yes, indeed. I've mastered that.
And you like, I'm going to die when I get in the car. She's going to show the mess out of me. That's power. She ain't got this. If your mama got this scream, how many people's mama actually had to scream at them? Compare that beating to the one where she just looked at you. It was a lot worse, wasn't it? It was loud. All right? 22. She's speaking. That's the power of the sister. The Moabites. It's the Moabites right here. She speaketh and the servants fly. She pointeth and the thing is done. For the law of love is in their hearts, and her kindness adds wings to her feet. So it's not because, she's the supreme law enforcement in the room. No, it's because of the love of the ones that are about to obey her, the love that they have for her. It's an honor for them to do what she asks. So there's power in that. The prophet is returning that degree of power back to us. Islam Moors? In prosperity, she is not puffed up. She don't get arrogant when it's, everything's popping up. In fact, a couple verses up, it says she was frugal. Okay? In adversity, she healed the wounds of misfortune with patience. Islam? The troubles of her husband are alleviated by her counsels and sweetened by her endurance. He putteth his heart in her bosom and receiveth comfort. Happy is the man that has made her his wife, happy the child that calls her mother. Islam? That's the second time that verse was mentioned in that chapter. Islam, Moors? Surely Allah speaks the truth to his holy divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam? All right? I'm going to go to verse, the next chapter, 22. Right? It's a continuation, even though it says duty of a husband. Right? Take unto thyself a wife and obey the ordinance of Allah. Take unto thyself a wife and become a faithful member of society. So Muslims promote marriage. We don't say marriage, we say obligation, right? That's actually a stronger vibration. Obligated to be obligated to someone, all right? But examine with care. Now here's the thing, right? Get married or get obligated, right? Here's the caveat. Here's the warning the prophet gives you, right? Don't mess yourself up. Heed the warning. But examine with care. Don't rush. It says, and fix not suddenly. On thy present choice depends thy future happiness. If much of our time is destroyed in dress and adornment, just in the mirror too much. If she is enamored with her own beauty and delighted with her own praise, if she laugheth much and talketh loud, if her foot abideth not in her father's house, and her eyes with boldness rove on the faces of other men, though her beauty were as the sun in the firmament of heaven, turn thy face from her charms, turn thy feet from her paths, and suffer not thy soul to be ensnared by the allurements of imagination. Islam? That's a mouthful. That's a mouthful. You know who that sister is? She exists. She's in the world. That's the sister that don't know who she is. Right? So later in the Quran it tells you about those who take pride in things that are of no worth. Right? So there's some that define themselves by, oh, I'm somebody because I got a new Benz. Or I just got a big old house, so I'm somebody. So what happens when those things are taken away? Are you nobody now? Islam? Verse 4, but when thou findest sensibility of heart, when you can think again, your emotions in order, right? Joined with softness of manners, an accomplished mind, with a form agreeable to thy fancy, take her home to thy house, for she is worthy to be thy friend, thy companion in life, and the wife of thy bosom. O cherish her as the blessing sent to thee from heaven. Let the kindness of thy behavior endear thee to her heart. She is the mistress of thy house. In that sense, mistress is meaning she is the master of the house. Islam? Ain't nothing wrong with that, brothers. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Because we know you're supposed to rule that out there. Islam? And then your overseeing is to make sure that everything is in order. Islam? You know, your duty is to make sure that when she asks something in the household that it's obeyed. You know, so the fathers may know something like this. Is a father thing right here that, you know, your wife, you know, might say something to the children. They're a little hesitant in their response. And you got to, what your mama said. They get up and get it done. Islam, that's the brothers do. Islam, and when both are honoring their roles, right? Because even sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of uplifting father and humanity. So even the kids got something to do. Islam says, verse 7, oppose not her inclination without cause. She is the partner of thy cares. Make her also the companion of thy pleasures. You know, obligation or being married is a business. Y'all, it's a corporation. So corporation means body. Corpus means body. Islam, reprove her faults with gentleness. Exact not her obedience with rigor. That's for us brothers. You know, you might get frustrated because sisters process logic through heart. They process logic through mind. You know, they say men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I've heard that before. So sometimes we won't always meet in the middle, understanding each other's arguments. Because to us, y'all's arguments don't make no sense. And to us, to y'all, we callous with our approach. You're not feeling what I'm saying. Can I not your feelings? You ain't hearing what I'm thinking. And we're not lining it up. So the prophet, you know, is correcting the brothers, right? He says, reprove her faults with gentleness. Islam Moors, exact not her obedience with rigor. Trust thy secrets in her breast. Her counsels are sincere. Thou shalt not be deceived. Be faithful to her bed, for she is the mother of thy children. When pain and sickness assault her, let thy tenderness soothe her affliction. A look from thee of pity and love shall alleviate her grief, or instigate her pain, and be of more avail than 10 physicians. There'll be times, brothers, when your wife is not feeling well. Islam, and you might have worked a long, hard day. Back might be hurt, head, frustrated, all that. But you still got to summon that holy breath and make sure that sister's all right. Islam? That's what Moorish law dictates that you do. It's not an option. Islam? Because the Prophet said if you do that, it will help that sister more than 10 doctors. Just the fact that brother loves me enough to stop what he's doing and come and help me. Islam? Verse 12, consider the tenderness of her sex, the delicacy of her frame, and be not severe to her weakness, which meaning in the chapter of weakness, the prophet talks about the weakness of the finite body, the physical body. So that's not the spirit of the person, but the body. Because your body will err. Islam? But remember thine own imperfections. So if we see the sister, something that we see the sister might not be doing correct, remember before you get on her about that, remember your own flaws. Islam? Surely Allah speaks the truth to his holy divine prophet, no neutrality. Islam? All right? The sisters back in ancient Israel, actually the ancient Israelites borrowed a phrase from ancient Canaan, and the word was Zion. You ever heard this term of Zion before? Right. The daughters of Zion. Islam, that's right. What's the word Zion mean? Remember? Hold on. You draw from Josenius's Hebrew Chaldean lexicon to the Old Testament. Okay? Excellent, by the way. Very, very excellent. I got it on Amazon. But on page 708 in this text, Zion means sunny place, a sunny mountain. It says, it's a Syriac and Arabic word in which the name is written, and it writes in that in Syriac. It says the higher southern hill on which the city of Jerusalem was built. It included the more ancient part of the city with the citadel and the temple. Mount Moriah, on which the temple, this is the Temple of Solomon, right? On which the temple was built, being reckoned to Zion, separated by a narrow valley, also called the city of David. It says, very often used by the prophets and poets for Jerusalem itself. So Jerusalem itself was also called Zion, right? And it says, also the daughters of Zion, or the women of Jerusalem. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
Also Zion, the Holy One of Israel. Islam? Right? But Zion denotes that which is sunny, right? Or full of light or illuminated. Islam? I'd like to draw from the book of Isaiah, chapter 3. Okay? Where in the latter part of it, we'll get into the daughters of Zion. And we'll get into the, seeing, how we ended up in the condition that we're in. That this was prophesied before. It says, for behold, the Lord of hosts, doth take away from Jerusalem and from Judah the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. The mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient. Aren't you the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern, western and southwestern shores of Africa? Ancient. Now you're not just Moabites, you're descendants of the ancient Moabites. Like the ones that live in Jordan today. They're Moabites. You're descendants of the ancient Moabites, the ones that were there before them. Islam? It says the captain of 50 and the honorable man, and the counselor and the cunning artificer, and the eloquent orator. And I will give children to be their princes, and babes shall rule over them. So a spiritually immature people will be set to rule over these princes and prophets and so on and so forth. Right? It says, and the people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor. The child shall behave himself proudly against the ancient, and the base against the honorable. When a man shall take hold of his brother, of the brother of his house, of his father, saying, thou hast clothing, be thou our ruler, and let this ruin be under thy hand. And that day shall he swear, saying, I will not be a healer, for in my house is neither bread nor clothing. Make me not a ruler of the people. So you're not gonna do what you're called to do because your money ain't right. I don't want to think about saving the people because I'm going through stuff in my personal life. I got stuff to do, so I'm gonna put the movement on halt. Okay? It says, for Jerusalem is ruined. And Jerusalem is what? The city of peace, or the abode of peace, right? For Jerusalem is ruined and Judah is fallen, because their tongue and their doings are against the Lord, to provoke the eyes of his glory. The show of his countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin as Sodom. They hide it not. So the prophet says in our Quran, where it is a shame to be ignorant, there they have no understanding. Islam? Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. Say ye to the righteous, that it shall be well with them, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hand shall be given him. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women shall rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths. The Lord standeth up to plead, and standeth to judge the people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people, and the princes thereof. For ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces, and grind the faces of the poor, saith the Lord of hosts? Moreover, the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty. So now this is after they've, their land has been occupied, and they're being ruled over by a spiritually immature people. This is what happened to the daughters of Zion. It's no strange happening that once this happened, everything was over. Islam? It says, moreover the Lord saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making the tinkling with their feet, doing things to be heard and seen. Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts, meaning no modesty, just, no shame or nothing, just everything revealed, right? In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments. Now, this is when all the royal garments, so how y'all are adorned today, when all this is stripped away, and we got what we got out there, right? And that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls and the round tires like the moon, your crescent moons. Now, all of a sudden, now the crescent moons can't wear them no more, it's been taken away. It says the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of their legs, the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels. The nose ring was taken away. The changeable suits of apparel and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. Right? That's an Islamic thing. This is the Bible. And it shall come to pass that instead of the sweet smell, there shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent. So in other words, instead of the noble sashes, that's what they're saying, girdle. A rent, meaning the garment shall be torn and tattered, basically. Instead of well-set hair, baldness. You got these sisters wearing these lace front wigs and stuff. And when they take that stuff out, my whole hairline gone. Right? So now you got to keep wearing a wig. Islam says, and instead of a stomach, a girding of sackcloth, so you'll be in mourning, right? And burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Islam? If that's not the case, what's going on with our sisters in Negro, black, and colored right now in America, I don't know what that is, right? But there's never something like that without a remedy or recourse, right?
That's right.
Proverbs chapter 10. Excuse me, chapter 31, verse 10. Proverbs 31. What does it say? So now, you tell me this doesn't read exactly like the Quran reads about that Moabites. Okay? It's truth ain't but one. It says, truth is but one. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that she shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night. The prophet says she riseth in the morning, right? And giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field and buyeth it, and the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. This is an industrious woman here. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands to the distaff. She stretcheth out her hands to the poor. Yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet, royal. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known at the gate. She has an honorable husband, because only the elders sat at the gates, guarding the city. Right? Islam?
Right.
So her husband is an elder, and an elder is like a sheik. It's the word. Sheik means elder.
That's right.
Islam. So even if you're not a sheik, you carry yourself like that. Islam? Her husband is known at the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness, literally from the Quran. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, I'll say Allah, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Islam? So Moors, let us not play with the work that we're called to do. Islam? Sisters, I'm gonna let y'all know. And in the past, I've been called a chauvinist for this. In time, I would welcome it because I understand the energy. But I'm hard on sisters, you know, because I know the power that you possess. Right? Everything is riding on y'all's development. Right? The future of our babies depends on y'all. We can be righteous fathers all day long we want. If y'all ain't got it, them babies gonna be sacrificed on the altar of ignorance. Islam, hospitality, love, and warm welcome is the domain of the woman. So when we have guests, when we have new members, new visitors, you know, I would love to see, right, our sisters at the end of this meeting, somebody I would love to see somebody welcome. I hope you don't mind, sister. Welcome to you and give you a gigantic hug and say, welcome, sister. Feel free to come anytime. You know, she shouldn't feel no strangers in this room.
That's right.
She shouldn't. She's like, oh man, I was warm. I want to come back. Right? She shouldn't feel that cold, shut off, callous. Right? Because that's not why we're doing this. And I understand, I get it, like I said earlier. You know, and even it says in Capital Emptor, the prophet knows where every member is along the road. Right? And I understand, you know, some of us are, it's a rough and rugged path. It's a bumpy road, beset by thieves on all sides. Right? But if you have the love of Allah, the spirit of your forefather, you fear not of what you see or hear, you will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect the prophet and the movement. Islam? These are the instructions from your prophet, know what you are doing through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Islam? We're not doing this work. We sheiks, grand sheiks, and governesses, so on and so forth, are not making law and enforcing them, right? Then all this goes for now. We're playing. Right? So this is a movement where we're going to continually raise the bar. Right? And if that gets too much, you got to find that space and place in yourself where you can grab hold to, you know, that challenge. Because all this is a challenge. You know what I mean? When you accepted that nationality card, you accepted a challenge from the prophet. Right? But you're willing to, you know, go out and wage this war out here. You know, for the salvation of your people. You know? I give honor to Sister Tahira. The reason why I give honor to Sister Tahira, if anybody knows Sister Tahira, ain't nothing that scream weak about Sister Tahira. Strong sisters, about strong as they come. However, anytime Sister Tahira was going to travel out of state, I get a text message from Sister Tahira, Islam Grand Governor, I'm going to Chicago. I'm going, you know, she got her frequent fly 5 miles is jumping off. Right? Anytime that sister travels out of state, she'll call me, let me know where she's at and when she's coming back. Now, for a strong woman of her caliber can do that, then it's no excuse.
That's right.
Right? Because that's showing me that she's, you know, she appreciates the fact of how we care about her. Islam wars, you know, and until we get to that stage, you know, and don't fight the process of this movement was put in place for a reason. It was well designed by Prophet Noble Drive. Islam? I got a text message from a sister about 3 in the morning last night. Sister was in California, so to her it was 12, right? But she said, there's a brother in the temple out there who's only been a member of the temple for 9 months. And they're going to elevate the brother to a position of Grand Governor after only being a member for 9 months. So I said, well, sister, I said, that's not usually how we do things. You know, there's, we don't make sheiks quickly in the more scientific way, right? Because the movement has been well guarded and well thought out, you got to make sure, you know, you try people. Ones have to be tried, never denied, willing to be tried again. Can't say that you have faith and not be tested. Islam? And the sister was saying that, the brothers were saying stuff like, you can make your own, each temple can make its own laws and customs. I said, well, is that all they told you from that? She said, yeah. I said, well, they're misleading you. Because the verse reads, each temple has a right, can make its own laws and customs as long as it's in conjunction with the laws of the Grand Major Temple. So that's the balancing statement. Yeah, we can have our own customs. Yeah, we can. But they got to be in conjunction. In other words, we can't have a custom that outweighs the divine constitution of our laws. We can't have a custom that outweighs the additional laws. You know, the words from the prophet, the Morris God newspaper. The prophet Noble Drive leaves personal example. Islam, we can never create a custom that outweighs that. Islam. And then she was like, well, they told us that the Grand Sheik and Chairman can just make an enforced law. So that's all they told him? She said, yeah, sister. I ran down Act 1 for her. I said, there's nothing but checks and balances in that. Even the last verse of it where it says the assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs if, that's a small word, it's 2 letters, right? But if is a powerful word, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known to the members of the Most High Temple's members. Right? But you see what I'm saying? So everything is predicated upon if you do this, okay, this happens. If you do this, or if you don't do this, this happens. Right? This movement was well thought out between 1913 and 1929 to the point that, about a little over 100 years later, it's still here, still kicking, still fighting for existence and to expand. And praise Allah for that. What would we do without the Most High Temple of America? Islam? But, so that's what's on. So, I'm going to work my spies in the temple and out the temple. For all the members, card-holding members that's on social media, clean your Facebook pages up. Clean your Instagram pages up. Especially if you got an L or a B fixed to your name. Islam? Get that folly out of there. Because I get people that are contacting me, looking for Noble Raleigh, and they'll reach out because they see ill or bad. Right? But then what they do is, if you notice, after they contact you, they'll just start liking a bunch of stuff on your page. Which means they're doing what? They're scrolling down your page. As they scroll down, if you got something savage on your page, what's that telling them? I saw one, it was a picture, she took sister took a picture, and her profile name was Grand Sheikess. She had like a blonde wig on with the duck lips. I challenge you to find that an example of the prophet. If you're going to do it, don't call yourself Moorish. Don't call yourself Il Abay. Don't call yourself a Grand Sheikess. Be Susie Williams. Islam? But don't put on holy garment, holy vestments, holy opportunists, right? And then start doing stuff that relates to, that dilutes to slavery. Right? That's a little more than strangely mixed. You're doing too much. Islam? So clean the social media up. Islam? Because you're going to run across people that's actually living what they say. And how are you going to measure up to that? And this is for brothers and sisters. How are we going to measure up with ones that are living a life? Islam? I'm going to say something too. And this might seem radical agitated. There's nothing more radical agitating than truth. When you go out amongst our people, and when you ask them, who do they consider to be a leader for our people in the modern day? You know, you'll hear people throughout the day, Minister Farrakhan. You hear that, right? Oh, Mr. Farrakhan, do you ever wonder why they say that? Why don't they invoke the name of the Moors? It's not because of the prophet. He did his works. The prophet did everything he was supposed to do. It's because how we carry the movement is not worthy of honor. The prophet prophesied that. He said, if you don't do these things, you're not entitled, you're not worthy of all the Moorish honors. You will not share in all the Moorish honor. So the Moorish honor that's supposed to be allocated to us as a nation is allocated to someone else, respectively, right? Because they choose to live the life, you know, at least as it's seen in the eyes of the public. Right? And I'm going to put us around the FOI and the MGT as often as I can. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, compete towards righteousness. It's a healthy competition. You need it. That's right. You know? Our vanguards, y'all need to be around other brothers who are demonstrating and rotating in that military capacity effectively, unbroken. You know? And what happened is you'll look and say, man, we might need to adopt this. The FOI even looked at y'all brothers was impressed. Like, man, we might need to adopt that. Yeah, I understand how y'all brothers was rotating. Islam? Why it's a holy covenant of the Asiatic nations, not just the Moorish nation. Islam. So the degrees that we have are for all Asiatic people and the whole Asiatic nation. And we are one family. We are, you know what? Provided for by his care. You know? Y'all know. If not, read chapter 25. Islam. But, you know, excuse my spirit. Well, not really. But pardon me if I, you know, if I seem a little forward in my opening. But this is my life work. Anybody who knows me knows I've been about this my whole adult life. My whole adult life. Islam. So this is not a plaything for me. You know, if you know anything about me, you know, you can't really get me to hang out. I'm not really a hangout person. Brother Uncle Nancy was able to get me to hang out. When we was at that table, we were talking business. We were talking movement. How we gonna do this? How we gonna clean temples up? How we gonna, right? But you know, just out hanging idle, taking pictures, showing the world. I'm not part of that. No judgment for those that do. But I'm just saying, like, that's not what I'm about. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I find that I have a hard time being around ones that's not on that 24/7. You know what I'm saying? You know, one of the things I'm known for throughout the nation. You know, people have a hard time getting me on the telephone. I'm not a telephone person. And what I found over the years is that, I'm gonna let y'all go in a minute. What I found over the years is that when people get you on the phone, it'll start off on business. It'll go to follow. You see what I'm saying? You know, and I've even had ones call me up, grown men now, call me up and have other Moors on three-way silent. Islam Moore, what you think about Brother So-and-so? I'm just gonna tell the truth. I mean, this is what I think. And I hear other voices in the background. Oh, Islam, somebody else on the phone? Oh, Islam, grandson. Mo, what are y'all doing? Are we in high school here? You know, when you talk about real leadership, they don't have time for it, right? And you should not want to bring that stuff around your leader. You know, somebody would lay down their life and put their finance up for you. Don't bring folly around them. Because you're going to find they have a very short fuse. You know this thing with Africans, y'all say that Africans are arrogant. Now people, they're African, you know, they don't like us. It ain't that. It's just they serious about their culture. That's right. When you know who you are, you don't have time for folly. Islam Moors? And with that, I lower the meeting. Islam Moors?
Islam.
Yes.
Real quick, what was the chapter that you read for Isaiah?
Chapter 3. And actually what you can do is read chapters 3 and 4 when they were originally written in the scrolls. Chapters 3 and 4 was one chapter. So read them together. It's actually the same thing. Islam Moors? Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Dry Leaf founder, home office, Chicago, Illinois, March 11th, 1929. A warning from the prophet to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speech while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be a severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to the Ba'ath prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam? Islam. Islam? Islam. Islam. All praises are due to Allah and the highest of honors to his holy and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
Giving all praises to Allah and the highest of honors. I can't honor and thank Prophet Noble Drew Ali enough for being the first one in North America to raise the banner of Islam and to return the flag of Islam and to return our birthright to this flag here, which we had learned over the years to despise because of the treatment we received under that. Right? But as one with their free national standards and principles in place, we know what that is. And this is designed for you to get something for yourself in kind. And don't be mad if other groups gather under this flag and do something for their people, right? And don't do nothing for you, right? James Brown had a song years ago. He said, "I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door, I get it myself." That's more science 101. Islam, become the manifest of this, right? Islam, become the manifest of the Holy Quran, the more science of America. Don't just quote this book to people. Become the message that you bring. Islam. Are there any questions, comments, concerns, or statements before we go? My sister, I'm not gonna put you on the spot. Eyebrow, shut up. You okay over there? Did you enjoy yourself? You're welcome to come anytime, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to direct them to the sisters or any of the sheiks. That will be myself and my brother right here. All right? All right? All is well?
All is well.
Everyone please rise. Face the east. One last statement. Brother Chairman, did you announce the from 2 to 4 tomorrow, Mass 15B?
Yes, but I told him that without your, I didn't want to do anything without your consensus because, like I was telling you before, it was the officials are for College Park.
Yes.
So we do have a brother.
Indeed. But for anyone who want to go just to see that machine work itself out and see how an Asiatic group demonstrates within a political realm, for those who have the time between 2 and 4, feel free to attend over at Master 15B. We should never send Moors by themselves anyway. Always handle business 3, 5, 7s or more. Islam? Face the east, which is right ahead of you. Stand on your square. Your heels will be touching like this. In the tradition of our Moorish forefathers, we raise 7 fingers, invoking the sacred presence of 7 Elohim that created everything that ever was, is, or evermore shall be. For our visitors, please adopt a position of prayer that is comfortable for you in giving homage to our collective Creator. Please repeat after me. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice. Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
guide,
and my salvation. By night, and by day. Through his holy prophet, Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam, Moors.
Islam.
Praise Allah. Praise